Hey Sandeep, good morning. Hey Neha, good evening.
Good evening.
Hey Raghu, good evening.
Hey Praveen, good evening.
Okay, we'll wait for a while. Jyoti has to join. I guess Sandeep is having net connection issue. Okay, okay, we'll start then. If Jyoti joins, we will repeat the class. That's fine. Okay, so today we will cover SSL, and SSL will go on conceptual wise configuring. It's a little bit complicated because we should get trial certificate and so anyways we should know the conceptual wise, so I'll discuss conceptual wise. And to start with, we have seen integrating. Um, Anyone missing? Neha, we did not see, right? I mean, in your class, we did not do integrating IHS with WebSphere. Oh, sorry.
नहीं
I believe we have done. Yeah, yeah, we did, we did. Federation, we did. Yeah, Federation, we did not do. We'll do on weekend. Okay, cool. So yeah, so we have seen to integrate front-end web server to WebSphere. So WebSphere, they would be configured with 9080. You can choose ports while configuring or installing applications. So those WebSphere application ports would be integrated to front-end web server 80 first. So nowadays, almost every sites are using, almost all sites are using SSL certificate. Long back, maybe around 8 years or 10 years before, there were sites which were not using social security certificate, but nowadays all sites are using SSL certificate. So SSL certificate is nothing but a secured socket layer. So it makes a secured connection between user and the server. Yeah, we'll discuss how it would be securely connected, and it would be like this. While in the process, you'll get some private keys and public keys. So let me see if I have a diagram. Okay, I have a diagram. Let me go through it. Okay, just let me have a glance first. I believe we'll get this biscuit most of the times in our class. Are you guys able to hear? Okay, so yeah, so let me discuss through diagram, then we'll go, maybe it becomes easy. So I'll wait for a moment till that guy goes out, sales guy goes out. Okay, so initially our web server won't be configured with SSL certificate. So the first thing, we should configure SSL certificate in our web server, where exactly the web server is hosted. So technically you should, it's like, it should have some secured connection with your server. So it should, whatever, it should have some data and it should get encrypted, and it should have some secure communication with your server. So it goes like this. So there are many vendors in the market. If you Google it, there are many vendors. So first we have to send a request to vendors to get the certificate. So that is called, they generally say the term CSR, and maybe certificate service request, whatever, will go through the abbreviation, but they generally say CR, certificate request. Okay, so they generally raise CSR or a certificate request. They will generally raise certificate request from the web server. So we'll see various methods how we raise a request. So while raising this request, you will get generated you will get a public key and private key. So it's like this. Then those things, public key and private key will be encrypted in the request, and we'll send the request and see. So this is a request, and then server certificate, certificate client, and certificate authority. Okay, here we raise a request, so public key and then public key. So using public key and receive certificate request, signed certificate, this is certificate authority. So using public key, they will generate certificate and they'll give us the certificate. Then once we receive the certificate from vendor, we will import it to our servers. Then using this public and private key, you will have some secure connection. So once any user reaches our server, it will get encrypted. Initially it will get encrypted using public key and private key. So using public key, it will go to the net and the request will transfer and get response. So once it comes, you get the response, it will again gets decrypts and encrypts using private key. So using this public and private key, a secured connection would get established. So yeah, so in short, you will be having public key and private key. So using public key and private key, this secure connection will get established between user and the HTTP server. And yep. And in generally, public key would be transferred in the net. A private key would be in the server itself. Just give me a moment, I'm getting call. Yep, sorry for that. Okay, so let us go and see, how exactly we raise a request, how we import a certificate, and how we implement in our web servers. Fine. So I'll share this diagram to you. Well, we'll discuss about WebSphere level and we'll discuss about Unix level. So is to start with WebSphere level, well, first port number, the default HTTP port is 80. We have seen while integrating HTTP server to WebSphere, and once you configure social security layer, the server port would be changed, means the SSL port would be 443. So the communication will get established with the port 443. Again, if you see in the web servers, here all these days, we were communicating with HTTP port 9080. So once SSL is configured, even in WebSphere, the request will be responded using this port 9443. So say if SSL gets configured and the communication will happens using 443. So fine. So let us come back here. So this is about ports, and in WebSphere we have a tool called ikeyman, and in my experience we have used openssl commands, and ikeyman, maybe a few companies may use ikeyman. So even using ikeyman we can generate and import the certificates. So let us see using ikeyman. So let us go to HTTP server. So as I said, you have to configure SSL to your web server. So this is where we have installed web server, and bin. We have been using bin from all these days. So let us go to the bin of HTTP server. Here I should use for ikeyman. Yeah. So ikeyman is a tool with which we can raise a certificate request and import certificates. Okay, so CSR full form is certificate signing request. Okay, so this is how keyman would be. So first you should make database. So they here is a technologies like this. First you should create some database. Maybe those. We can say that database has a secure space where you can create. You can keep your CSR and you can import your certificates. In short, you can say secure space. So these certificates you cannot keep anywhere. So WebSphere, this tool is creating some database by itself, and it stores certificate over there. So yeah, and let me check the notes. New key database type, yeah, key database file, new. And CMS is the most widely used database. I'm not sure about other databases. So CMS is more widely used based on your requirement. You can choose it. And one more thing, I'll give you a full glance, but while facing interview, based on your experience, you should say suppose you're having 3 years, still 3 years of experience, you should not say that you handle complete full and full SSL. Generally 6+ years guys will handle SSL certificates. You can just say partly work you have done. you know After the class we'll discuss how you can answer the questions. Maybe you can just choose any small part and you can say that I have done this part, whatever. So let us go ahead now. So we have to create database in ikeyman. So now it is choosing the default name key.kdb as a database name, and location it is choosing as bin. Okay, let it be the bin, that's fine. So I'm clicking on OK. Yeah, so we can choose some password. Fine, let me use easy password. Yes, something called stash password. This is a procedure. We should just do stash password. I believe it should synchronize passwords to this database. And so, as I said, the whole process is you have to. It will store in a secure space. We are having password also. So maybe whenever it is required, it could use the password. So it's the whole point is here. It is storing requests and certificates in a secure space. And now here first we have to raise a CSR. So signer certificates, and then 1 second, person certificate request new. Yeah, so intermediate add, we should add. Okay, so to raise CSR, you can go here, personal certificate request, you can go here, click on new, and then give the details. Label is some name, okay, and common name would be generally the domain name. Domain name, or else I can say website name. So common name would be the website name. Organization all, whatever, XYZ, organization LPQR. But they do give all these details: HYD, RABAD, Hyderabad, state, country, IN should be India, I believe. Or else it is giving only state, I'm not sure. Well, this is optional. Yeah, so once you do and raise a request, see the name itself, it is CERTREQ.arm. So this is how it is raising a request. So clicking on OK. Well, see here, a new certificate request has been successfully created in the file you must send the file to certification authority to request a certificate. So we should send this certificate, this request to vendor like Verizon, maybe GoDaddy, Hot Chili, whatever. There are many sites, many vendors available in the market. So for them, you should send this certificate. If you just go to their website, but again, you will not do all these things. You will have procurement team, who procures certificates. For them, you will just send this request, and then they will get the certificates. So at least you can say that I have raised a CSR for my web server. You can say this part. It is not so tough. So you can say this part. You can choose any part which you want to say, and you can say in the interviews. So here you have option to extract as well. So cert.arm, cert name. Let us keep the location. Let us change the location. Desktop. So let me see. I'm trying to extract it. Yeah, we have received cert ARM, and at the same time we are having at the same time while raising request also one more file got generated. So let me go there. Yeah, cert request. So you can open this using Notepad. Yeah, this is how it looks like. It's some so it is some encrypted format. So you'll get a certificate from the vendor using this certificate request. So you have to upload the certificate request, and then they will give SSL. Then you should download. So once you receive the download, you will get through mail, or else you'll have some logins. Through logins you can download. So once you get certificates, then you should import the certificates. To import certificates, you'll go to the signer certificates. Signer certificates, there you'll add certificates here. Generally, you'll have two intermediate certificates. So they'll give you those details. So you should import those certificates. And yeah, once you import again, we'll see the process. You may have to generate plugins, and you have to synchronize, and you have to restart. You have to do some settings in the web server, in the WebSphere. Well, we'll check those things. So right now, so using ikeyman, we have seen how to raise a CSR using personal certificate requests, and then we have seen how to import certificates through signer certificate. Here you can just click on add and choose the certificate which your vendor has given, and then you can import the certificates. And the final thing, personal certificates. Here, if you have intranet, you can do some self-signed certificates, and you can configure those certificates in the destination if you have any applications, right? Once you create some self-signed certificate, you can extract it, and then you can keep in your applications, and you can have some secure connections. So this is used for intranet purposes. Personal certificates is used for intranet purposes, and if your portal is in the extranet, in the internet, I mean, you can use in signer certificates. So yeah, this is the one method using ikeyman. You can raise a request, and you can import a request. In short, you can manage certificates for the IBM HTTP server. And next, the another common method is Unix commands. So give me a moment. Okay, so Another command is your openssl using Unix. Let me see if I did not cover anything. SSL ikeyman. This is the default path, where you would find ikeyman in the bin, HTTP server bin. You will find ikeyman, and this is the path where you can create database and to generate signing certificate signing request. So to raise CSR, the form would be cert request. You will get such kind of request. Then you will send this request to a vendor, and then they will give certificate, and then you can import. Okay, fine. So this is still here. It is about ikeyman. So now let us discuss about Unix, how we handle in Unix servers. Say you are having Apache open source code. So how to handle if you have Apache open source, and it is configured in some Linux box. Well, so and in general, right, they will not save these certificates wherever they want. They will have, in general, you will have some secure space. For that space also you should access using passwords, or else only certain people would be having access. So only in those spaces you will store certificates, and your web server would be integrated to the secure space. So maybe in companies they may change the term, but somehow they will keep the certificates in some secure place. And the files which you use while in this process are, one is config file, another one is CSR, public key, private key. We'll go step by step. So these are the 4 files we use during this process. The first thing, config file, is, so if in the ikeyman, if you might have observed while raising CSR, we give all the details like domain name and city, location, all those things. So in the config file you can give all the details of your certificate, say some yahoo.com, google.com. So that would be the domain name, or it would be like common name, and your city, your location, all those things. So you will have set of format config file. Every company will have some config file format. It will be the similar way where we have filled while raising CSR in ikeyman. So you will fill all the details. So yeah, first step, create config file. You will create some file, and then using this file you will raise a CSR. So need to run the command where we have created the config file. So it's like you will keep this config file in some secure space, and yeah, that you would, in that secure space, or you are almost like you would be like in this Apache server itself. Then in the same place you will raise, so let me observe the command new out CSR and the config file. Okay, so here, see, this is a config file, -config, and the file name is .conf, some file name with .conf. So using this config file I'm raising .csr. So -new out, it's nothing like it's raising CSR. We have some syntax. So openssl req. So I'm using openssl command. This is the main command we will be using to raise CSR and import certificates in Linux. So through openssl will raise request and will import the certificates. So here I'm raising a request, and it's a new request, and so the output of the file can be, you can give the name something, so it would be extension with .csr, and you're taking the details from the config file. Based on that you will get you will raise CSR. Well, while raising CSR you will be prompted to enter a paraphrase that will be used to protect the private key. You need to paraphrase anytime you import, export the key, or convert the certificate formats. So while generating this certificate, it will ask you to enter some paraphrase, means some keyword, or some password which you should remember. So those passwords will protect your private key and public key, so that it will not get security violations won't happen. So this would be encrypted with your public and private key. This paraphrase will be encrypted with your public and private key. So once you raise CSR, below files would be existing after generating CSR. So So this is the very first file we have created, config file first. So using this config file, we have raised a service CSR, and in this command a private key would be generated. So so this private key would be encrypted here, and using this CSR, vendor will give you the certificate. So you will have some secure communication between this private key and the certificate which you receive from the vendor. So the certificate which vendor sends will have some public key. So you are having private key in your system, and vendor will give some public key. So that public key, and with the private key which you are having, secure connection would be formed. I'll repeat, I'm sorry. So you are having private key in your web server, and vendor will give SSL which will have public key. So with the public key and in the SSL and the private key in your web server, some secure communication will happen, and secure connection will be established with this public and private key. So in short, secure connection would be established using public and private key. That sentence would be enough. You can Google it. You'll get enough notes in the websites. Whenever you get some time, you can go through. So yeah. So right now, in short, using public and private key, secure connection would be established. So private key would be in your web server. Public key would be it would be in SSL. Fine. So so we have raised CSR till here. Now CSR, using CSR will get certificate. Now copy the certificate received from the vendor, execute and run the command to import the certificate. Okay, so give me a moment, I'm getting a call. Hello. వచ్చిన అనుకున్నా అంటామని ఈయన ఏమో ఈరోజు యోగా చేద్దాం తొందరగా వచ్చిన యోగా చేసి దాని క్లాస్ స్టార్ట్ చేసిన అట్లా అయిపోయిన టైం 3 days అనే యోగా చేసి క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా. అనుకున్న ఫోన్ చేద్దామని టైం ఎక్కలేదు, ఇక వచ్చేసిన అట్లా అట్లా నేను చూసుకునే ఉండే మళ్ళీ క్లాస్ కోసం అని టాపిక్ అట్లా బిజీ అయిపోయింది. సరే మరి క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా, ఓకేనా? వస్తున్నావు కదా? చలో బాయ్. ఓకే చలో యా బాయ్. Yeah, sorry for that. I got a call from office. Okay, so yeah, so we have raised CSR and we have sent it to vendor. Then we'll get certificate from vendor. Then in general, this CSR you won't send yourself to vendor. There will be some procurement team you will give to CSR to the procurement team. They will get upload. They will get certificate. Once they receive certificate, they will give certificate to us. Then again, you should import and export, obviously. So it would be having some public key, private key, and you have to get synchronized all those things. So using this command, you can import the certificate, openssl, export, import. So you would be doing import and then in certificate. So you would keep this is the CSR, and you are keeping the private key which you have previously, and the certificate which you have received. So I repeat. So export import means if you want to keep backup something kind of stuffs, you can take export. But here, right now we are in the step to import. So import means we are importing certificate of which vendor has been given. So CSR, this is already there with us in the above step. So we are having CSR, and then yes, we are having private key. Then this is a certificate which vendor has provided. And here this is something like bit ratio, I believe. It's there are many options for openssl. You can go explore more and use the option. So yeah, and here it will be asked for the paraphrase which you have created in the CSR. I was saying here it will create paraphrase. So here it will ask for those paraphrase. Yeah, once you say the paraphrase, it will get synchronized. So import would be successful. Well, So till here, any doubts? Like we have just discussed about raising CSR and importing certificates. So one is using ikeyman, another one is using openssl. Any doubts till here? Okay. Well, now you should get synchronized. All these settings should be synchronized in your web server and in your WebSphere. So this is just for nodes default bits. While configuring, you will be getting somewhere. You should keep some bits while generating CSR. So there, you can keep value 2048 or more. I just kept a notes here. And now syntax operator file. Okay. So this is just a notes, fine. And now the next we are discussing, now we have raised CSR, we have received certificate, were imported to our secure space. Now these details should get synchronized with web server and WebSphere. So first part, we are discussing about HTTP server. So I was saying the config file httpd.conf. This file is used for doing all the changes. So there is a common syntax. Most of the companies will have already pre-established syntax. So this is generic syntax, where we are giving the HTTP server to listen to the port 80, and here maybe you can give the your domain name, or else here the port 443 would be open for all the sites, and you are enabling SSL, and here you are giving the name of your certificate and auth. If you may hear from your office, in some projects you would be having some auth servers like SiteMinder, and one of the famous authentication servers are like SiteMinder. If you have some configurations related to SiteMinder, maybe you can keep those details here. If you don't have any auth servers, you can keep none. And so here it's ending. Okay, virtual host and SSL enable. Key value. Okay, if you are generated using ikeyman, you should give the database of that key.kdb. We have seen, we have created a CMS database. So I told it is storing certificates at some secure space. So you'll give the database name so that it can interact with the database. Yeah, this is timeout, maybe some 1000 seconds or 1000 milliseconds, whatever. So if request doesn't get response in this 1000 threshold, you will get error request timed or some kind of things. Okay, so let me go to httpd.conf just for the namesake. Okay, so sorry. Well, here you can go at the bottom and keep it somewhere here. So here you can keep it directly. You can place the format here, and let me see if there are any existing modules. Let me try to search. No, I just want to see if there is any syntax here. Or else I'll just yeah, see here. So by default SSL http.conf, it is giving so all these details. It is being IBM HTTP server. It gave this key value also. I mean it. So it is giving some example. This is how KDB would be, all those things. So you can use enable these options, disable these options, and provide the values. So you will have all the syntax in the httpd.conf. You can modify these things. You have to remove these hashes. You have to, if you want to use these features, you have to remove the, you have to uncomment it, and then you have to use the future. Fine. This is one part. So now httpd, we have updated httpd file, httpd.conf file with the configurations. Well, obviously you have to restart the server, and in the notes I'm saying you have to uncomment this module. Well, yeah, in this you can see here there is a module. So if you enable this module, HTTP server can use SSL feature. So I have kept those details here. Next, so let us open some web server and see what all changes we can do in the web server. So right now we have seen to raise CSR, to import certificate, and then do the configuration in httpd.conf. Now let us see what are the changes we could do in WebSphere. IBM WebSphere. So I believe we have integrated Apache to APPSR v01, I believe. Okay, now fine, let us start the server. And then sorry. The reason.
We need to take this server, web server refresh or the app server, web server now, because we have made changes in the conf file.
Yeah, see for that we have anyways restarted a web server, that should be enough. Now right, all those details should get synchronized to WebSphere. I mean, Yeah, so whatever the changes have been done in the httpd.conf, so those details should get synchronized to uh, WebSphere. So those things now we'll see how to do those things. And server launch failed. Start server and other log files. Oh god, what happened? Okay, I believe we have federated all these servers to deploy manager. Let me check with app server 03. Yeah, so there are few changes. If before till the servers get started, if I had to give a glance, see first thing, if you do any major changes, you have to generate plugin and propagate plugin, and so these generate plugin and propagate plugins would happen through web server. So in web server properties, there is something called copy web server key store to directory. So if you are using some with ikeyman, all those things, if you use this, or if you have to select this option, so that all the SSL configuration settings would be synchronized. So you have to do these two steps in the WebSphere. I'll show you once we log into the WebSphere. And well, sometimes you would be having some signer certificates. I'll show you those also. Sometimes you may have to exchange signer certificates based on the environment. So we'll check these three steps in the WebSphere level. Then after these three steps, anyways, restart WebSphere and restart IHS. Already running. Okay. So logs 9066. The major thing you do in WebSphere is generate plugin and propagate plugin while uh, configuring IHS. After integrating with IHS, we have done that generate plugin and propagate plugin, if you guys did remember. So that anyways we have to do. So here also we have made some changes to httpd.conf. So those changes should get synchronized to WebSphere. So there is something called, we have discussed earlier, plugin.conf. If you go to IBM HTTP server and then plugins, config, web server, yeah, plugin-cfg.xml. So all these details, whichever you have done, using ikeyman, or means whichever the details you have modified in httpd.conf, all those details, it should get synchronized here, plugin-cfg.xml. So we have to generate plugin and propagate plugins. Okay. Let me see whether we have created web server here or somewhere. Yep, luckily we have created here. So yeah, these things, before generate and plug, I was saying generate and plugin you should do, generate and propagate you should do if you do any modifications. So let me go through the settings which we have to do in the web server. So here, let me navigate to the path, plugin properties, copy and some keystone strategy. Plugin properties. There's something called here copy to web server key store directory. So if you do any httpd.conf modifications related to certificate, see in this tab itself you are seeing plugin-cfg.xml, plugin-key.kdb. These all configurations, yeah, http, oh that's fine. So these all are related to some SSL configuration. So you should just click on this copy to web server key store directory. So the key plugin keyring is propagated to cells config web server, plugin key.kdb web server, and then plugin key.sth. So these all are important files, which deals with SSL configurations. So and yeah, so once you do this, then you will, yeah, okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So till here, well, I just want to say what all we have said, what all we have said, what all we have covered. So we have seen how to raise CSR using ikeyman. Okay, Raghu. Fine. Okay. So okay, fine. We have done raise CSR. We have imported certificate. We have modified httpd.conf. So now we are just seeing the activities which we have to do in the WebSphere. So in the WebSphere, so this web server is the main component or main server which interacts with IBM HTTP server or else front end. So you'll go inside this and then you will go to plugin properties and then you will click on copy to web server key store directory. So this this will synchronize with the HTTP server. Whichever certificates are related to SSL, it will get synchronized to WebSphere. And after doing this, yeah, web servers. After doing this, anyways, you will generate plugin. And after generating plugin, so now it has generated some plugin at some XYZ place. And now you have selected web server and propagate the plugin. Then this plugin would be propagated to HTTP server. I'm selecting this, I'm clicking on propagate plugin. So yeah, see here now it is propagated to this HTTPS server. Yeah. So well, now nothing, after doing all these things you have to restart web server, sorry, IBM HTTP server and WebSphere. Then you should be able to use SSL certificate. Well, as Raghu said, I will repeat everything, and I want to say you one more thing in the global security. And SSL certificate key management key stores. SSL certificate key store management, and then key store. Okay. See, if you, I just want to say something, in the secured environment, sometimes you may have to exchange signer certificates. You may get some error related to exchange signer certificate or certificate error, key store error, some kind of error related to SSL you'll get. So what I want to say, see, in the security you are having SSL certificate and key management, and there you should go to key stores and certificates. So you see, these are default certificates of this web application server. So even for deployment manager, you would be having some certificates. So what I'm saying, sometimes you have to exchange signer certificates. So you can select on this, and you have to select uh, exchange signer certificates, and you will select appropriate profiles, and you have to exchange these certificates. Give me a moment. Okay. So especially I'll in short what I want to say, when you federate one application server to deployment manager, and after federation, you may have to exchange signer certificates. You don't go in depth as of now. When it really time comes, go through the existing documents and exchange the signer certificates. So in short, what I want to say, if you have to federate application server to deployment manager, and when you are having tight securities, you have to exchange these certificates. So only this you can remember. I repeat, when you federate application server to deployment manager, and in your environment, if you are having any tight security, you have to exchange these certificates. So based on your company standards, you can exchange these certificates. You can click on exchange and exchange the certificates, and when a real situation comes, go in depth and know more about it. Okay, and that's fine. This is just I want to give you a glance about this topic. So let us come back to SSL. Anyways, I'll go right from beginning to revise conceptually. And so, any of you guys think anything challenge here, which you felt confusing, you can let me know so that I'll stress that more. Okay, then I'll give you a glance about everything. So fine. So to start with, web servers initially, as we have seen, after integrating, our application will work on port 80, but we should have a secure communication with the user. So those things can happen if you import SSL certificate. So as I said, you'd be the secured connection would be established using public and private key. So from the WebSphere standards with IBM HTTP server, you can generate CSR and import using ikeyman. Well, it's a tool. So let me open that. So before generating CSR, you have to create some database. Database is nothing but you'll store your certificates at a secure space. Those things you can do some click on new and create some database, and so once you create those database, your certificates will be stored in that database. And so to raise a CSR, you should go to personal certificate requests, and so here we have already raised. So let us open the existing database. So earlier we have created this key.kdb. Now I'm opening it. So you might have observed while creating, we have created with password. So it is asking that password. So I gave the password. So now requests, yeah, see in my database I'm having this CSR. So if you want, you can extract it again. So this raise the CSR. Then after once you receive certificates from vendor, I can import the certificate in this signer certificates. And yep, so this is about generating CSR and importing certificates using ikeyman. And so there is another way. If you have open source Apache, or if your company insists to do uh, SSL management using Linux or using command mode, in that case you should use OpenSSL. So OpenSSL to raise CSR, you should be having first config file. So using config file, you will generate a CSR. So this is a command. So you are using config file, and then using config file.
Using this open command line mode, I mean to say this config file is matlab, which part of the config file?
Okay, okay, well, I'll say you. Config file would be nothing like, let me open CSR. let me open this. Okay, fine. So if you see, you are having, see here, you are having all these, right? Key label, common name, right? And here key size, you are giving something. So nothing. Config file means all these details would be something in some text format. So say this is a notepad. So there, you have a key label means name something. You will see yahoo.com, and then common name. Common name would be, right, would be the domain name. So it
That
would
is
be
fine.
like, yeah,
Where
yeah.
do we get the config file when we want to create using the command line mode? This config file,
Mm-hmm.
they will be getting a path where it will be there or something.
Uh, Yeah, see, every company will have their own standards. It should be, all everything would be predefined with architects. Though the guys would be having 14 or 15 years of experience, right? And every company, right? You would be you would be already having existing infrastructure, so they would be having some config file format. So I'm
Okay.
giving you example config. Yeah, config file format would be like this. So you'd have some file format. You should just fill the values, and you should save the file with .conf. That's it. So some name, a name dot conf. You should save. So those things you may have to use VI editor. VI editor, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So using VI editor, you should create the config file. Clear? Still any more dots?
Oh, clear, clear. It's
Okay,
that
cool.
it depends if the
Mm-hmm.
company has a particular standard, then we can create through command line. Otherwise, it's ikeyman only.
Yeah. Otherwise, ikeyman. Yeah. There would be already defined strategies, defined plan. Based on that, you can go ahead. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, using config file, we have generated CSR, and while raising CSR, it will ask if passphrase. Okay, it will ask passphrase. You can give some value. So yeah, so now you have raised CSR, and you'll be getting while raising CSR, you'll be getting private key. So these private key values would be encrypted in CSR, and so after raising CSR, vendor will give you certificate, and then you have to import certificate. The syntax could be like this. This is a certificate name which vendor has given, and here we are keeping CSR and private key, and you are doing import. And while doing this step, it will ask for the fast phrase. What is this word? Passphrase. So it will ask passphrase, and then you should give the same value which you gave while raising CSR. So till here raising CSR and importing would be completed. Then all these changes you should let httpd.conf file know. I mean HTTP servers know that we have done so and so configurations. So yeah, you'll give your certificate name, and you will request timeout values, and you will enable required modules. So you'll do all these changes in HTTP server. So once you do those changes in HTTP server, you'll go to the web servers, and you will click on this key so that required files would be exchanged from HTTP server, and then you'll generate plugin and propagate plugin. You will do those things, and you will restart IHS and WebSphere. So after doing all these steps, your SSL will start working. And well, and based on the experience you kept, so right now, Neha, I believe you can just do these things. I have raised CSR. You can say those things. Even it should be okay. You can Google more about openssl commands. Even the commands which I gave are correct. There are many openssl commands. Google more about openssl commands, no more, and you can raise. You can say that as per my company documentation, I have raised CSR. And if they ask in depth, right, you can say all these steps. Even
Yeah,
Sandeep,
actually,
you also. Yeah.
Right now we are raising it through ikeyman only, not through this. That like I wanted to know what's this one. That's why I asked it. Presently in our
Oh,
company,
okay, okay.
we're raising it through ikeyman only.
Okay, cool then. Okay, fine. That's really cool. Yeah. So, anyways, you're raising then. So, yeah, OpenSSL you can Google more and know then. That's fine. And so, but this is a method. This is a generic method which we use using OpenSSL method. And yeah, this is all about SSL. Any doubts? Any for anyone? Raghu, Sandeep. Okay. So tomorrow, Raghu, what would you like to have topic? What do you think? Which topics are left out? We'll cover Linux commands maybe tomorrow. Apart from Linux command, any topics which you require?
Praveen, uh,
Hmm.
one thing is like we have in web server level we have keys folder, right?
Okay.
And then the KDB files which we are generating, we need to generate manually, right? Yeah.
This KDB, yeah, yeah.
Because the KDBs will be different from one website to another website, right?
For all webs, okay.
Because like once we generate the KDB, then only we can generate the ARM. We need to generate the ARM file and
CSR,
we need to generate the CSR.
yeah, true.
After that, we need to get we are going to receive the CER, right? .CER file, right?
Exactly, true, perfect, yeah. So first you generate a database using that is KDB. So in turn, in this KDB file only all these ARM files will be stored. In fact, so yeah. So in this
Like,
in this KDB all this will be stored. Yeah.
primarily, we need to generate the root certificate, then root and
Intermediate certificate into root and intermediate, right?
yes.
Yeah, they will give. You need to import. Anyways, in the mail they will send. They send those two certificates.
Yeah.
You have to import those two certificates. You have to import those two certificates in the signer certificates.
Yeah.
Here in the signer certificates, you have to import those two certificates. They will give the steps also.
The big confusion is like you are showing in GUI mode, but I don't know about GUI mode.
Oh.
That's why I'm just thinking about that. There's I'm seeing that path IBM HTTP server been in this keysful path, right? Then I got to
In fact, I did not work on ikeyman. I am in my company. We use OpenSSL. So yeah. So, maybe if you have more details about ikeyman, share with me.
I don't know.
Useful for me.
Like I know that there's a tool called like ikeyman, but I am not aware about that tool.
Okay. In fact, yeah, we are having open source Apache frontends.
Yes.
So we use OpenSSL.
Like we need to check the certificate .csr files, and we need to check whether certificate in directly semantic.
Yeah, true.
SHA-1 or SHA-256.
What is that?
SHA-1 is the certificate and SHA-256. These are certificate codes, right?
Yeah.
If you are telling in that way, definitely I will get it immediate. But this is so slow, right? It's a very something new to me.
Yeah, I told some generic method. Yeah. Okay. And yesterday's class I did not upload in the share drive. Today I'll upload yesterday's and today's class. And, so yeah, tomorrow Linux commands I will tell what topic you will search, because Raghu, actually you are advanced. You and Sandeep, Jyoti, all are together only. So I believe not many topics are left, so that's why I'm asking you. So shall we open syllabus and see?
Let's do one thing here. Tomorrow, why can't we deploy the sample application again?
We'll do once we finish all topics, we'll do time pass fun activities by repeating the topics.
No, like
We'll definitely do, no worries.
I already shared
Yeah.
like plans by WebSphere is the year file I shared with you, right? If you are going to deploy that, it will be very colorful in once we open the console. Yeah.
Sure. Anyways, deployment doesn't take long time. We'll definitely do that tomorrow only, no worries about that. And yeah, let me see syllabus also. Like, we'll cover, if there is any pending topic, we'll cover that. Anyways, Linux commands I will cover whichever I feel important. Then I will install that plans WebSphere, right? What is it?
Plans by WebSphere. It's a default
Plans by WebSphere.
deployment.
Sure, we'll do that.
There is a course content is also there. Oh. You are not sharing with me.
No, I mean.
You are not sharing.
Anyways, I'm covering all the topics, right?
Start from the beginning.
Okay, file architecture. Yeah, tomorrow we'll cover file architecture.
Monitoring and tuning and security for me, so these are also left.
Oh, monitoring and tuning, you were not in that class?
I wasn't. I joined.
Okay, yeah. True. In fact, for you, yeah, I had to cover federation, clustering.
Yeah, that is also left.
Okay, monitoring and tuning, yeah, we'll do it.
Can you repeat once LDAP as well?
We'll see. Then we'll see if I try to say more points. I'll think, and I'll see. Yeah, we'll cover. Okay, so tomorrow we will cover Linux commands and we'll cover file structure in the WebSphere environment, and we'll try to deploy the application. And how about Saturday, Sundays? Which time is evening okay for you guys? Saturday and Sunday?
At what time?
Maybe even I am okay this weekend. Even at 7 p.m. also. 7 p.m. also we can start. I mean, morning you guys can celebrate till 7 p.m. We can have weekend fun.
Yep.
7 we can sit.
By 7 o'clock, the cricket match will be complete. No issues. Yeah.
Okay, cool then. For you, Neha, is okay 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday? Yeah. I believe Sandeep okay. Sandeep, for you okay, right? 7 p.m. IST?
Yes, bro.
Okay. Okay, by this Saturday, Sunday, we'll try to finish maximum. And yeah, Neha, we may try. We will try to sit for some extra time. Is that okay for you, Neha, this Saturday, Sunday?
Beyond 1 hour?
I mean, yeah. Actually, the point is, my shift is changing from Monday.
Okay.
So, if at all, in the morning, if you have free time, what is the best possible time for you in the morning?
It's like 7 to 8.
7 to 8. Okay. Fine. We'll discuss, but most probably, maybe very few topics will be remaining by Sunday. I mean, from Monday. So we'll try to cover. Tomorrow I'll let you know. Maybe we'll only on Saturday. Shall we try? We'll try to sit early. Okay. And we'll plan about syllabus on syllabus. We'll plan about Saturday syllabus tomorrow, and just get prepared to sit for a little long time so that we'll try to cover a little bit more on this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. So fine, guys. I'll see you tomorrow again at the 5:30. Any other questions? Okay, see you all. Good day. Bye bye.
Bye.